horror fans, and welcome back to Silver Screams for another edition of the, we never actually settled on a name for these Attack on Titan vlogs.
Talking Titans?
We can't. That's too close to a Talk on Titan, which is what Crunchyroll was doing for a little while.
Talking Titans is too close to
It's too close to a Talk on Titan, yeah.
Ugh.
Talking Titans. I liked the Silver Core. Because we're Silver Screams and the Survey Corps is our main set of boys and girls. So yeah, again, let us know, what the hell should we call these things?
Dead by Dawn.
Wrong.
No, that was more season 2 territory.
Well, welcome to these Attack on Titan vlogs. Today we are talking about episodes 51 and 52. Part of, scheduling lately has just been crazy.
Partially because we've been busy, and partially because there's a lot of introspection and not a lot of action in both of these episodes, so they can be more easily sandwiched.
And also, Game of Thrones has started being an hour and a half long, so that takes up more of our evening.
We started watching Game of Thrones first, and then using Attack on Titan as a palate cleanser, because Attack on Titan is really good.
Oh, so much shade. But anyway, so apologies if you've only seen episode 51 and you're waiting on episode 52, because they get released at different times, depending on what tier of Crunchyroll member you are. So
you might want to just not.
You might want to wait on this
week.
one until you've gotten the chance to see both episodes 51 and 52.
Because we are doing a science fiction double feature.
We are indeed. And for those who don't know, again, we are sadly not doing the Attack on Titan after show on AfterBuzz TV. We mentioned that at the top of our last vlog. The team scheduling. And the team who is covering it at AfterBuzz is great. Go support them. They're all wonderful people. But as you can see here, because of our work schedules and because of our viewing schedules and travel and everything like that, sometimes we have to squish 2 of these episodes into one. It's basically why we can't do them after Buzz anymore.
We do what we can.
Exactly.
We're here. We're talking.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So yeah, and another quick announcement real quick. No manga spoilers. We gave you the heads up that we're talking about both 51 and 52, so please be courteous to us. No manga spoilers in the discussion below. We like being surprised. It's one of the most enticing things about this show is seeing those cool last minute cliffhangers that they do to hook us into the next one, and those fall flat if we know what's coming. So
spoilers get you banned.
Yeah, those will be deleted. So please don't be that guy. We're just asking you, please be courteous. Alright, so let's talk about Thunder Spears, which we both looked at that title and went, what?
Set that to, is it AC/DC that does Thunderstruck?
I think so.
I think so.
How does that one go?
That's the one that...
I think so. I don't know. I've got Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap stuck in my head, so that's all I'm hearing right now.
I think AC/DC does Thunderstruck. I think it might be Kiss, but I think it's AC/DC.
But all I'm hearing is Dirty Deeds and they're done dirt cheap, because we were literally just talking about that song. So that's all that's in my brain right now. But yeah, this is an interesting episode because this is one where it was a lot of setup. And Attack on Titan does this a lot, where they're in the middle of an action sequence, they will flash back to a lot of planning stages and a lot of setup and a lot of okay, this is the situation that we're going into, so we need to be prepared. And that's what Thunder Spears was a lot, because prior to this episode, we hadn't heard of the weapon Thunder Spear.
They basically built elbow rockets.
It's kind of cool.
They basically built elbow rockets, and you jam it into the target, and then you get the hell out of dodge and pull the pin, and they explode. And so what I love about that is, one, they basically made it to combat the armored titan because of the armor, and 2, it's a weapon that can only be used in an urban setting or in dense forest, because if you set it off right under you, you're going to get exploded too. But if there's a whole bunch of other cover around you and you're able to get away with the ODM and then pull the pin, you're free and clear and your target is fucked. So I like that. This is all very clever.
I really love, like, one of the things I like about the Survey Corps, just like as a group of characters, is their resourcefulness, because they do view themselves as humanity's last line of defense, and the ones who are actively going out to reclaim land that has been taken from them. So, like, the tricks that they will pull to stay one step ahead of either the authorities or the Titans, it's always fascinating to watch, to see what they do, the plans that they come up with, and the steampunky tech that they create in order to combat their foes.
And I mean, between Irvin, Levi, Armin, and Hanji, they're playing 4-dimensional chess.
Yeah.
And it's bonkers. So that is a lot of fun to watch. And poor Armin still being in command and still being like, well, following this guy.
That poor baby.
Like,
no pressure.
I'm used to plotting, not yes and.
The only issue with episodes like this, where it is a lot of setup for basically a big explosive payoff,
Literally.
is that creates some pacing issues, because that means you have almost an entire episode of talking and people looking and strategizing and trying to parse out what the other side is going to do, which is fascinating, but can drag a little bit if you're watching the episode really late at night and you're ready to go to bed.
Or if you're watching them week to week.
Yeah.
Because you're watching, you get that nice big explosive payoff at the end and then you're like, was that 23 minutes plus commercials? Shit.
Because
really?
As much as I love this episode, there were bits where Irvin's looking at the Beast Titan and, like, deducing what the plan is. And it's basically this epic anime stare down.
I only have one hand, but I can still do this.
But, bye kitty. But you gotta take the good with the bad, because, stuff that, were kind of left unanswered in episode 50 get resolved in this one. Like, oh, hey, that Titan carrying the box is in fact a smart Titan.
Did that get resolved in this one or the next one?
That was this one.
Okay.
But, like, we didn't find out what he was carrying until episode 52.
Okay, I thought we didn't get the flashback of him talking until episode 52.
Oh, we don't get that flashback until episode 52, but Irvin makes the deduction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. These episodes can run together. When you're covering
doing
them
together.
Yep. So, but anyway, a lot of this was Reiner assessing the situation and Irvin assessing the situation, flashing back to Hanji teaching everybody about the Thunder Spheres. There's a lot of inner monologue going on.
Yeah.
But I think where this episode is really kind of balances that sort of slow-paced introspection is we get the rematch between Eren and the Armored Titan, which is a rematch we've been waiting for.
Crystal Knuckles.
Oh,
just
it's
like,
so
we're just
cool.
gonna use burning on the hands and we are gonna...
that's what we said during the last bash that they had, was that Eren was fighting smart. And it was so satisfying to see this character who normally just rushes into things.
I think he's beyond rushing into things at this point. I think he's really learned. At this point, I think Mikasa is the one that acts quicker and runs in faster than Eren right now.
Yeah. No, Eren's gotten a lot better at, hanging back. Being like, let's see how this plays out. Or, I gotta think about my next couple steps. I gotta take a few notes out of Armin's book.
And occasionally getting way too far up his own ass and just kind of like, ah!
Oh,
We've all done the panic spiral.
Oh.
He does those a lot. He's got good reason to.
Yeah, but, the panic spiral that we saw in episode 50... contrast that with here of nah, this is do or die moment time. All that doubt is gone. And this is what I need to do.
And there is no colossal titan on the wall above me.
And
ready to fall on us.
I'm gonna beat you this time because I would have won if Bertholdt hadn't cheated.
I'll still never be over. By the way, I'm the Armor Titan and he's the Colossal Titan. You should come with us. The fuck? Like, again, in the manga, that's a little tiny panel in the corner of the page.
It's so funny.
And it's pretty great.
It's so funny.
And that was, all the further that we read in the manga, but nonetheless.
Yeah. Again, please no manga spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this was awesome. And ultimately what this episode builds to is Eren stalling for time enough so that the Survey Corps can get into place to use the Thunder Spears.
And what I love is that he's baiting Reiner. He's very obviously baiting Reiner, and Reiner knows this, like, why did he transform in the city and then run away from me? Well, he wants me to follow him, but if I don't follow him, he's gonna get around and then flank the other
and
forces,
by the way,
and I can't let him do
love
that.
these tiny little info, like, with the tiny little titans, the cartoonish little graphics. It's just so cute.
They're pretty great. They're a lot of fun. So I appreciate that it's Reiner going, all right, well, I see what the strategy is, but I still can't let him go.
I have to take the bait.
I know it's bait, but I can't afford to let him leave.
Cool.
So
Let's see how this goes.
Great. He was not anticipating Thundersticks. The audience was not anticipating Thundersticks. Then we got this huge long, this is how you Thunderstick. And
then we get to see them in action. And what I love too is that, like, there's this moment before they attack where, particularly with Jean, Connie, and Sasha, because they hesitate. And Jean has to be the one to remind them, hey guys, like, we can't hesitate. Like, we can't be half-hearted about this. We need to take action now.
They made the wall to begin with. They
did this. They're not going to hesitate to kill us. But I love this moment because, like, and it's just like what we've been saying with the ending theme. Flashing back to the days when they were all in school together, the friendship that they had with these two mattered. And it still matters to them, and it still breaks their heart, and we'll get into that a little bit more in 52. But yeah, they hesitate, and Jean has to convince them to go in anyway. So they go in, attach the Thunder Spears to the base of Reiner's neck,
the first two go into his eyes.
Oh yeah! That was so awful! And awesome.
And he just sees them coming like, the fuck is that? Yikes! I'm usually not one for eye scream, but I appreciated that.
Yeah, no,
so
I'm
much.
normally not like an eye gougey person type. Like, even my horror movies, I'm like, no, I'm good, I don't need that. No, not near the eyes, not the eyes.
We used to watch House, and more than once it's like, all right, well, something needs to happen with the eyes, and they just show the needle, and I'm like,
No. I never watched House, and now I never will.
It was only on occasion. They showed lumbar punctures more often than they did eye stuff.
Even
but it was still just like putting needles in.
I have a friend who's going in for LASIK soon, and she's describing the surgery to me, and I'm like, no.
Oh, I was in 8th grade. They showed us a video. My teacher got LASIK and had them set up a video so we could see in our biology class with them clamping the eye open and doing this is details that you guys did not need to know. But yeah, no, we sure did watch a LASIK surgery.
Trigger warning,
in middle school. So we were all like, I think I'll just keep wearing glasses.
Yeah, like, I haven't been to the eye doctor in a while, but I probably need glasses. I will take the glasses. Keep the lasers away from my eyes. No, thank you. Anyway, neither here nor there. We were talking about Reiner.
Yes, getting needles in his eyes.
Yep.
So that.
And after that, he gets it at the base of his neck, and this is where the episode ends with, like, cutting to the interior of the Titan. And just seeing Reiner being surrounded by the tips of these Thunder Spears. And he knows what they can do at this point.
Because they blow open the armor, and then it's like, all right, we got the armor off the back of his neck. Go back in for another round.
And he just goes, wait! And then kaboom.
Episode ends.
Now, Reiner's my favorite character. And, like, that was definitely a rough ending, but holy shit was it cool! And he deserves it.
We've seen how versatile and how, I cannot remember the word, but living, how fucking difficult it is.
Durable.
Durable is the word. Durable. That's not the word I was looking for. Resilient, I think, was the word. Yes,
I like
because my
durable,
brain
though.
went virulent, and I'm like, that is not the right word. Virulent is not the right word for this shit. But yeah, we've seen how resilient they are, how hard it is to fucking kill one of them unless you eat them while you're a Titan yourself.
Yeah.
So this is not overkill. This is hedging your goddamn bets.
And yet, like, by the time the episode ends and we get the kaboom, and even though it was awesome and even though it was rough for my heart, I'm still like, dude's not
Double
dead.
tap.
Dude's not dead. Dude's
Double
not
tap.
dead. Which is a weird thing to think in a series that has so much character death in it. There are just certain characters where I'm like, it's too early for this antagonist to go down.
Yeah.
But anyway, do we have any final thoughts on episode 51 before we move on over to episode 52?
That was a heck of a payoff for all the setup.
Yeah, that's the thing. Some of the pacing definitely dragged a bit, but it was totally worth it for that, wait! Kaboom!
Just this moment of, oh, I might have some regrets.
Whoops. Where's the kaboom? There's supposed to be a Titan-shattering kaboom! All right.
We both went to the exact same word replacement.
We did indeed.
Because I knew you wouldn't go for a Reiner shattering kaboom. And that's why.
So yeah, we leave off that episode on a high note, I suppose. But really quick, last warning. We're talking about episode 52 now. So episode 52, Descent. Oh, this one.
Oh boy.
This one's rough.
We get so much, but this was a really good Bertholdt episode. Because we get recent flashbacks for this one. We get to see the conversation atop the wall with the two of them and the Beast Titan shifter.
Whose name is Zeke.
His name is Zeke. Alright, Ezekiel, let's go.
I guess so.
I guess.
I'm trying to think of any sort of biblical names where that might have significance or anything like that.
I cannot for the life of me remember the biblical significance of Ezekiel, and I'm like 90% certain it is Old Testament.
It also might not mean anything because we had a murder cowboy last season named Kenny. So what do names mean, really?
Yeah, it's wild. But just again, this is another one that had a lot of flashback in it, but I don't think the pacing suffered nearly as much in this one.
Because it's the difference between explaining how a technical tool within the show itself is going to work so that the audience understands it, versus these are character moments, and these are character moments that are getting fleshed out. It's less strategy and more emotion. And not that the strategy or the technical side of things is a bad thing, but as human beings, I think we're more invested in the emotional side of things and the emotional journey that these people are going through. Because as we see, this isn't a fun time for these characters. They're not having fun being
sucks.
Evil, quote unquote.
And just this flashback to the 5-year time skip, and not Shigan Shina, but the second wall. The breach of the second wall, when everything starts going crazy.
When Eren's a Titan, he's got the boulder and he's carrying it over his shoulder, and Reiner and Bertholdt are looking at it going, well crap.
Like, on the one hand, he's gonna close up the wall we made. On the other hand, we now know it's him, and we have something to work with. You're just having this conversation out in the open, like fucking idiots. And Marco's listening in. Well, what did you mean you'd have to use your Titan? And the hole we made. And it's just like, Marco, baby. You are failing your wisdom rolls right now. Get out of there and tell someone. Don't confirm it with them. Just get out of there and tell someone.
But again,
yikes.
But again, because these people are such good friends, even though he's figured it out, he's like, no, it can't.
No.
It can't be. And even it's so funny for a couple people who have pulled off this elaborate ass con. They are really bad at lying about it because we were joking.
It was a joke.
It's like in season 2.
They're having a conversation in public.
It's like in season 2 when Eren's like, you must be really tired, and Bertholdt's like, yeah, that we're really tired.
My best buddy old pal isn't going fucking crazy over here or anything. He's not psychologically broken by the massive trauma of committing murders. He's
like,
fine.
Eren gave him that out, and Bertholdt was like, yes, I'm taking it, please.
We're exhausted. And Reiner's like, I'm fucking fine. Also, I'm the Armor Titan, and this is the Colossal Titan, and Bertholdt's just like, Jesus Christ.
Internal Bertholdt screaming. Well, it's funny that we made that joke.
We got a lot of external Bertholdt screaming in this episode.
It's funny that we made that joke about internal Bertholdt screaming because we got to actually hear from Bertholdt in this episode, which is always cool.
Because it doesn't happen very often.
No.
He's the tall dude in the back.
Well, and same with Marco. You know, Marco's been gone for so long, we forget about him sometimes, but anytime his death gets brought up, it's devastating. And now we actually have to see it happen. Because what I had always inferred, again, only having read certain portions of the manga, what I had always inferred was the conclusion that they came to in season 1, that Annie killed him on purpose for the specific point of being able to pass her inspection with the ODM gear. They made it look like a very deliberate murder so she could steal his shit.
I'm starting to think the way they presented Annie here, I hesitate to say that she was more of a victim than the other two, but I feel like she was maybe not quite as on board as the other two. Because
less dedicated to the cause.
Yeah, maybe. And I less, blasé, less unbothered about committing these murders.
Gosh, no.
Because I think part of that was also, we know that her dad taught her to fight, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a long time since season 1, she doesn't get along with her dad. If I remember correctly, there's some contention there.
I don't know about that. I think he was hard on her in terms of training, but I
feel like she was calling him that man.
I
don't remember. But part of this is, we have to do this for our home to go back to and your father waiting for you. And I'm just kind of like, if she doesn't like her dad, that might be more of a threat than a comfort, whether or not you know that.
And, well, also, I kind of inferred that her father was dead. I had sort of assumed that he was the one that she took the Titan powers from, because, he's like, your dad will always be on your side, no matter what, even though the world will turn its back on you, your father is always with you. Those weren't the exact words, but that was sort of the sentiment. So I inferred that once we found out how Titan power transfers worked. I inferred that as Annie killed her dad. Oh no.
I guess not?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
And that's they might not know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Poor Marco tries to get away. Because you could just hear the internal monologue of, well, it sounds weird, but we just found out that Eren's a Titan, and he can do this. So Reiner might be a Titan, and you can just see him this is a terrible truth, and we're coming to terms with it.
Oh, the cogs are turning.
Oh, and it's bad. And then I'm blindsided.
But that's the thing, is that, these are still his friends, and so they attack. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of, killing Marco was super devastating for all 3 of them. Annie's crying, Marco's crying, Bertholdt's in shock. Reiner's the only one that is hey, this is a thing that needs to be done, get it done, this is what needs to happen.
But then after it's over, you just see him click back to the...
He breaks this is the thing that broke him.
Ooh.
This is the thing that broke him, and we get to see it happen in real time. But as they're zipping away after they remove his ODM gear, as the Titan's coming, his last words are, "Why are you in such a hurry? We haven't even had the chance to talk this through." Even though he put it together, and even though they were leaving him to die, his last words were, "Guys, let's talk about this."
Oh.
Because they were friends.
The one thing where I was just kind of like, oh, and it's probably because he didn't have a lot of training. Like, he's on the roof of a house. His ODM gear gets thrown through the window of that house, but he's still on the roof instead of throwing himself after the ODM gear. Like, let's get into the window and try to evade the Titan. But first mission, just got out of training, fucking shocked.
Yeah,
like,
his
I
friends
get it.
Just, that's the thing. He might have had
just betrayed him.
He might have had a chance if he had jumped into the house through the window. But let's be honest, Titan.
He wasn't thinking.
The Titan seeing him go in there, it's gonna know. It's just gonna pull the roof off. It's gonna It's gonna demolish that house to get to him.
Yeah.
And yeah, he could have tried. I think the Titan would have.
It's not a criticism. It's
Yeah.
one of those, strategy brain on the other side of the fourth wall is going, well, no, he would have had a chance if he'd done that. And then, no strategy brain. He's pretty fucked up right now.
It's that thing where you watch a horror movie and you're like,
why are they going up the stairs?
why did they do that? That's stupid. That's such a dumb mistake. When in fact, if you were in that situation, you'd probably do the exact same thing. Or you're watching a horror movie and someone trips and you're like, come on, get it together. I trip all the time in non-horror movie scenarios. So, who am I to judge?
There's just something that putting the fourth wall there is your brain goes, well, what if, and you can, dissect it because you're not in the heat of the moment. You're not one of these characters. You're not facing this situation. He's just had his brain broken by his friends who have revealed that they are responsible for this disaster and also left him to die.
Yeah.
The brain doesn't process that very easily.
They've been lying for years. They're responsible for all of this, and they're about to murder him. So
they're in the process of murdering him.
Yeah, this whole sequence is heart-wrenching and
it's so rough.
Ugly, but also really well crafted, and it speaks a lot to the character of all four people involved, because we can see that the emotional devastation of having done this was enough to break Reiner as a person, and that Bertholdt is shocked that they have to do it, and then is shocked to see his friend go friggin' dissociative and dissociate the whole affair, and Annie being forced to be the one to do it. Yeah. And then, same thing, being in the same position as Bertholdt of being like, okay, the person who just made me do this horrible thing
is no longer here to face the consequences.
Yep.
And then, that means that Reiner is just out of the picture for the next God knows how many months. For the rest of this season and a good chunk of the next, he's gone.
Well, I imagine that he would come in and out.
Probably,
I imagine that depending on the situation, sometimes he'd be talking to Bertholdt about strategy and about tactics and about what our next move needs to be, and then other times that person would go away and he'd just be Reiner from the academy.
Yep.
Which
is rough on Bertholdt.
Yeah, and we get to
say the least.
We get to really see that in this episode. Not only was he kind of having to deal with his friend coming in and out of existence, basically, but then the side of Reiner that's a warrior basically tells him after their little meeting with Zeke, hey, by the way, I never relied on you or anything. I can't rely on you. You're super timid and
you're kind of a pushover.
Until just now, I've decided I can trust you. Which on the one hand, I'm like, I love you, Reiner. On the other hand, dick move.
Fuck you, buddy.
And that's the other thing.
Everyone in this show is really, really broken.
Yeah. And it's
really
sad,
broken.
too, because Bertholdt obviously cares about Annie, and he still clearly has a lot of anxiety about where she is and what's happened to her. And Bertholdt is like, and Reiner's just like, she's probably fine. Like, and Zeke is like, she's probably fine.
I feel like Zeke's presence with them at this point, the fact that he's traveling with them, the fact that he's working with them, is less we need more firepower where these two are involved, and more we obviously cannot leave them to their own devices anymore. Look at the state in which they return to
it's
wherever.
Almost like when we trust children to enact genocide, things don't go the way we plan.
It doesn't always work. So I do think this is, we are sending this adult along to better be able to rein them in and guide them and talk them through that. I legitimately think he's babysitting them.
And talking about Zeke, it's kind of interesting too, because in season 2, when we were introduced to the Beast Titan, he was surprised when he and Mikhail had their face-to-face
conversation, as
he
it
was just like, I think we speak the same language, like, what's going on here? Which makes me think that was like the first time he had tried conversing with anybody inside the wall. He was surprised to find the ODM gear, which makes me think that he hasn't really been in contact with the kids that have been spies on the inside.
I'm wondering if what we saw at that point in season 2 was the first time he'd been inside the wall at all.
Probably. And the other thing is that, like, he gave Reiner a beat down at the end of part 1 of this season, and like, he straight up says, hey, look, if you want to go again, we can go again, or we can give your powers to someone else. And, like, it's like, oh, this guy can pull rank on them. Which, yeah, makes it feel like, I don't know if it's full-on babysitting, but he's definitely somebody who outranks them.
And we got that phrase again at this episode, right? Like, you fuck up again, I'm passing your armor on to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, yikes. Because that also means, the end of his life, because we know how Titan Shifter powers get passed on.
Yeah, and it's interesting learning that about Zeke, that, like, hey, like, again, that, that we know that there are other walls, and we know that there are people outside the walls, but it's interesting to actually kind of hear that straight from the horse's mouth. To be like, how many of them are there? Is, like, do the people outside the walls, like, have their own society, or are they just a bunch of nomads running around? Like, it's interesting.
This is why both of us yell, like, at the beginning of this half of the season with, the rest of humanity was encompassed inside these walls. Both of us going, or so we thought! Like, yeah, no.
So, and that creates an interesting question about the motivation of the people outside the walls wanting to eliminate everyone inside the walls, which we find out in this episode is their aim, is to kill everyone inside the walls.
We also find out that Reiner isn't dead. We kind of pull back a little bit on the Armored Titan, and he's gone from here up.
Oh,
sticking out of the Titan and just jaws and further down. But evidently, Reiner is really good at this whole transferring consciousness trick, where he can just kind of...
Dissociating, I guess, a gift!
I don't think that's what it is. Okay.
No.
Did
like,
you
there's
ever
an actual
watch
neural
Yu
thing.
Yu Hakusho?
Yes.
With the bit in the Toguro arc and the Dark Tournament where the one Toguro brother could just move his internal organs wherever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what this reminds me of, is that, if you just move it out of the... And we set this up in the first episode of this half, where Levi stabs him through the throat, and the split second before he moves his consciousness just, like, out of his head and neck, and like, whoo, lucky me. So... he's good enough.
They made a point of, like, making that a plot point.
Yeah. So Reiner is good enough at this that as long as he has even a split second of warning before a blow comes, he can survive, essentially. So he is going to just need complete annihilation for us to get rid of him. Which is fucked up, but true.
Which makes me wonder if...
everyone in this series is really broken. In more ways than one.
Little OP in that regard.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's fascinating that he's like, as long as there's enough of his nervous system left for him to be able to regenerate. Like, that's interesting. That's an interest. But, you know, he's a sitting duck.
as long as his consciousness, such as it is,
Yeah.
isn't in the part that gets severed from the core.
Yeah.
Like, I think if his consciousness had still been in his brain...
Oh, he'd be dead. He'd be dead.
Oh, yeah. Super dead. Well, yes.
At least we think he
Boom!
would.
Headshot.
At least we think he would.
But, like, Bertholdt's checking on him and straight up go, oh, yeah, you moved your consciousness into the rest of your body. It's a risky move. It's tough to do. But you did it, and you're alive. Now I'm going to go enact the rest of the plan.
I'm going to need you to move, buddy.
And get yeeted.
I'm going to need you to move, buddy. And sure enough, like, the most Reiner can move is getting the armored titan onto its back so that nobody can attack him. Mm-hmm. And we get this, like, horrific but also borderline hilarious shot of the inside of the armored titan where his head is repairing itself.
So it's brains, eyeballs, and teeth. It's fucking Mars Attacks.
It was pretty funny.
He looks like a Mars Attacks alien just in shades of red. It's just like...
It was pretty funny.
I think we both went, ugh, and then went, wait, what? And what did you animate today? Well, Reiner's regenerating, but he's missing most of his face?
It's gruesome.
It's not like Organ Titan.
Yeah, no. Which I would argue was also hilarious. In that
I was not okay with. It was like, okay, that's fucked up. And then they all fell out, and that's when I was done.
And that's when I laughed.
It's like, oh, I don't need that in my life. That is some self-inflicted Mortal Kombat. I don't need that shit.
There's a fine line between horror and comedy. And I
like to think I walk that line every day. No.
there's a literal thing that Evil Dead plays with a lot that other filmmakers have dubbed, like...
The Raimi effect.
No. It's not slapstick, it's like slash stick or something like that. Like, I don't know, it's that horror, comedy, cartoony, like we're using, maybe it's splat stick. I think
that's it. I've heard that too.
Where, you know, this is something very gory, but because it's so hyper exaggerated and cartoony, like, it doesn't come across as grotesque. It comes across as funny.
Early Mortal Kombat versus current Mortal Kombat.
That's debatable. Current Mortal Kombat can be really funny.
Current Mortal Kombat gave some of its animators PTSD because they had to look at actual gore to get the hyper-realism.
See, that's different.
See, that's a problem.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's not great. Don't traumatize your animators, please.
Come on, Neversoft, don't do that.
Don't be that guy. Anyway, that was a tangent.
True stories.
Point being, this moment with Reiner is both grotesque and also hilarious. And this won't be the last moment in Attack on Titan, I'm sure, where we say that's gross and also hysterical.
But just by the time they get back there to finish the job, it's like, he's on his back. God fucking damn it. And I'm like, can we not just like, did anyone bring a jack? Can we like stick the things into the side of the neck to try to tunnel in? I don't know.
But that's the problem.
They only have so many.
Is that because they're in an enclosed space and the Colossal Titan is so big and its blast radius is so big when it turns into the Colossal Titan, that like it's gonna be a problem no matter where you are, and that's why you gotta give Reiner a fairly big berth at the moment.
And that was also why I was like, I need you to move, otherwise you're gonna die. So this is the best way to... And the best way for Reiner to live, and I don't know if Bertholdt like did something to overbalance him, or if some part of Reiner heard that and went,
yep. Or just like gravity, he just tipped over.
He was balanced pretty well where he was. I'm pretty sure that was some part of Reiner going.
The implication was, I gotcha. I'll do what I can, and then he fell over.
Like,
but yeah, in the spirit of that flashback with Marco, and them all having been former comrades, because even at the start of this episode, you know, Sasha and Connie are crying, seeing Reiner's what they think is carcass.
And John is trying to tell them, like, hey, you know, we had to do it, we did it, be proud of yourselves, we took care of it. Like, at some point, Jean broke this specific way at some point he's gonna break again in the other direction, and it's gonna be ugly. Because this is a coping mechanism that's about 90 degrees removed from everyone else's.
Well, in the first half of this season, he hesitated taking the life of one of Kenny's right-hand ladies. And he hesitated to kill that person because it was a person, and he had actually never killed anyone before. And she took advantage of that, and then Armin had to become a murderer in order to save Jean. So all of that development from the first half of this season is him going, I can't hesitate anymore. Like, we need to do what needs to be done.
But I also think that this is him not dealing with that specific moment and that specific trauma that came from that, and overcompensating real hard in the other direction.
Yeah.
So again, he broke one way. At some point, he's gonna break the other way, and it's gonna be bad.
Well, we'll see. It's good. Yeah, Jean's journey has been one of the funner ones to watch. Or, I mean, fun in the loosest definition of the term.
As fun as Attack on Titan ever gets.
But, because
here's the thing.
He's gone a lot of different directions.
The show is crazy and violent and terrifying and emotional, but it's not grimdark.
No.
And
there's so much hope.
It's so easy in a property that's like this, that is incredibly violent. I'd say almost hyper-violent for this, just because of here is the lovingly rendered viscera of this human being torn in half by a giant deformed human. Like,
oh dear.
There's so much in this show where it would be so easy to do the Zack Snyder dark color palette, everything is doom and gloom, people are terrible. Like, it would be very, very easy to go a very different route. But again, the reason that we're using it as a palette cleanser for Game of Thrones is because, one, we know that it's going to be well choreographed, well executed, well written, all that fun stuff, that we're going to enjoy it. But then at the core of this, even when things are just fucking awful for everyone involved, this is still a hopeful series. And that's
we'll see how we feel by the end of this season.
I say still as in, up to this current point. I'm not sitting here going, it's always going to be hopeful. Like, shit's going to suck for a while. But there's knowing that shit sucks and reveling in it, which is where a lot of our really grim, dark material, and that's not the word, media, is right now. And then there's shit sucks, but we're trying really, really hard to make it better. And occasionally we have a small victory, and that's good.
Ruby and Genlock.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, Ruby and Genlock aren't nearly as violent as Titan. Holy fuck.
No.
But Titan especially is a series based on hope. And violence and militarism and a lot of pain.
A lot of other things.
But at its core, it is hopeful.
And it's hope for a better future and the desire for freedom. Mm-hmm. The desire to live in a world where you can be free. And I just got chills saying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in the spirit of wanting, because they were comrades, in that same spirit, after seeing the Marco flashback, in that same spirit, Armin goes and he calls out to Bertholdt to negotiate.
Because this is also after we get a moment of Armin's internal monologue kind of coming to terms with Reiner and going, we didn't have another choice. We didn't have a chance to negotiate. Everything went crazy from the get-go.
And that's when Bertholdt shows up. Which, by the way, we didn't even mention how Bertholdt showed up.
He was in a barrel that the smart Titan was carrying. And it's like, oh, hey, that's like, for some reason, Reiner managed to scream even while he was dying. And it's like, oh, that's the signal. So the Beast Titan, also known as the Yeet Titan, just yeets the barrel over the wall.
Zeke the Yeet.
Zeke the Yeet Titan. It's like, the Yeet Titan. Well, fuck.
Oh, man.
That's all he does is he climbs things and he yeets.
He likes yeeting.
Yeet.
But yeah,
he's fun.
So that barrel is just flying through the
so
air.
It's like, all right, that was probably a summon. Where's Bertholdt? Where's Bertholdt?
And
shit.
And oh man, it was a fantastic entrance. I love this show so much.
What is that? It's the barrel yeet entrance. Yeah, okay.
Only Attack on Titan. Only anime can do this nonsense. I love it.
And we just kind of look at it and go, this is so fucking weird. I love it. This is perfect. What the fuck?
Don't change a thing.
Keep it. That's the perfect take. Circle that take. We're good.
But anyway, so the two of them actually come down to talk, and this is where Bertholdt basically lays it out. He's like, yeah, look, you're not going to emotionally manipulate me with Annie again, so that's not going to work.
But he started the conversation with, I'll agree to talk with you if you all agree to die.
Yeah.
We all gotta,
like, hey, here, yeah, like, you're just like, yeah, I'm willing to negotiate. Are you all willing to die? Because that's the objective here. And this is just heartbreaking for a number of reasons. For one, we know because Bertholdt, Annie, and Reiner aren't heartless. They're not evil sociopaths. Like, they're doing it because for whatever reason they genuinely believe it's for the greater good, or
they are
because
warriors.
That just has to be the way it is. But anyway, like, he straight up says, like, hey, this is only gonna end one way. We're finishing this. And you see the heartbreak on Armin's face. He's like, what? Because you guys think we're evil or something? Like, because of the way the translation is kind of weird. Because it's like, because we're descended from the devil or something like that.
Yeah, but like, with the limited Japanese I know, that is kind of the gist of what he said.
Well, the idea I think that we're going for is that, the original royal family walled everybody in, and that was an evil thing to do.
Yeah. And Bertholdt basically saying, none of you have done anything wrong, but you all need to die.
Yeah, and
just like...
Yeah, he basically says, no, like, here's the thing. And he was telling the truth last season, too. He's like, you are our precious comrades. You are our friends, and you all need to die. It's not great.
Like,
it's
yikes.
Just the way it is. And
we wonder
terrifying.
And we wonder why Reiner is broken.
It's always the quiet ones.
It really is. Internal Bertholdt screaming becomes external Bertholdt monologue. And I think at this point that Bertholdt is pretty fucking broken too.
Yeah.
Because we saw him panicking last season, and this season's just like, no, I tested myself and I'm good. I'm not gonna freak out. I'm not gonna get emotional about caring about you. It's just, this is how it is. And I'm like, there is something in you that is super fucked up right now, kiddo.
The way he's hit the acceptance part of the 5 stages of death. And whether that means he knows he's not making out of this alive, or he's just always going to be surrounded by death, he's finally accepted that. Or maybe it's just
the best chance of making it out of this alive. He's the colossal fucking titan. Ain't no one can get close.
True.
Yeah.
But you're not invulnerable.
That's also true.
That's the thing, is like, it's the depth of their conviction that is the tragedy here. Because, like, up until this point, they could have been reasoned with. They could, like, you could have relied on their friendship with everybody to kind of convince them, like, to get that emotional pathos of, like, no, you know what you're doing is wrong, you could do this. But they've gotten to the point where they both think they're at the point of no return. And
they've been told they're at the point of no return. Yeah. Fuck up again and I'm taking your armor.
Yeah.
And your life.
So yeah, they're like, this is the way it's gotta be, and we're at peace with that. Alright, bye guys!
And I mean, keep in mind that they've been Titan shifters since they were like 10.
Yeah, and they're
probably
still children.
Earlier.
So of course...
Because we have that flashback with Ymir eating their friend. And they were tiny childs.
Yeah.
So this is like some child soldier propaganda bullshit.
Oh yeah, no,
I don't know
clearly...
who's in charge of it. I don't know who's in charge of this training or this brainwashing or both or whatever you want to call it.
They've
but,
clearly been indoctrinated. It's horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something else that they say too. Ymir is oddly absent from all of this. And they say, hey, we're going to get Annie back and we're going to bring back Krista. That's the promise that we made to Ymir. And it's like, wait, where's Ymir? Where's Ymir though? Like,
also, Krista's the queen, and she goes by Historia now, and she's amazing. So stop.
Yes, queen.
Yes, queen.
But yeah, so it's fast. Like, these two characters being on the brink, like up against the wall, it's a fascinating thing to watch, and ultimately, it's super tragic too, because like, I don't particularly think they ever asked for this. But
I don't know. They might have. Whole, we need volunteers. Who wants to go be a warrior?
That's true. That's true.
And you ask that of a bunch of
orphans.
children.
Yeah. some of whom might be orphans. I wouldn't be surprised if Bertholdt and Reiner were both orphans.
But I mean, shit, look at the Scout Corps. Look at all these characters that we've been following.
Yeah.
A lot of them were very, very, well, they were all very, very young when they signed up. Like,
yeah. Well, and also, it's interesting, too, looking at the people outside of the wall, because, like, maybe part of the reason for this is that these were all people who got left. This is a theory. These were all people who were left outside of the wall when, when the royal family set up the walls to protect themselves against the Titans, and they left a bunch of other people outside of the walls, and somehow those people learned to survive, maybe by becoming Titans themselves, maybe by, just being really smart about where they settled and everything like that, by being always on the move and being on guard. But, like, we saw in the flashback with Bertholdt and Reiner that, like, being outside the wall was dangerous.
but then again, how often do you expect a Titan to just be buried underground beneath your feet? Because that was like, yikes.
But, like, they were powerless to do anything.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, when faced with a Titan. And that's why their friend died. And, yeah, it's interesting to be like, that's the world that they grew up in. It's easy to see how a narrative in that environment could have been created about how, the people in the wall, they're evil. They left us out here to the mercy of these monsters. Also, we're monsters.
Also, yeah.
Also, the monsters are people.
Then I question where the Titan shifters come from. Because we know the royal family is one line, or one power that is passed down. Generations of the Armstrong family. But what about all the rest of them?
Yeah.
Is there a set number of Titan shifters? Are they manufacturing more?
Did different kingdoms create the Titans and then go, oh shoot, we effed up, and like created their separate walls?
Of war that got out of hand.
That would be my guess.
An accident that got out of hand?
The answer's probably in the basement.
What's in the basement? The next set of scavenger hunt clues.
You know what's gonna suck?
What?
Is if fucking the basement gets destroyed by the Colossal Titan. Like, if he steps on Eren's old house and his foot just, like when you step into a sinkhole, when you step into, like, a gopher hole or something, and you're just like, whoa, oh, that's okay, I got my footing back, it's fine.
He has very, very big feet, so I think the foot would be bigger than the basement. So it's like, if you step on a snake hole, your foot doesn't go through because snake holes are like this big around.
But that, I'm just saying that I love the idea of, like, we defeat, the quote unquote bad guys retreat, and we finally, like, move all the debris, and the basement's just in shambles. It's like, no!
Speaking of things that are in shambles, a lot of Shinganshina at this point. Because Bertholdt finally goes, you know what? Fuck it. Like, negotiations go south.
They're not all willing to die. Negotiations have broken down.
He essentially challenges Armin, like, they've drawn swords at this point, and then suddenly Mikasa from fucking nowhere, because Mikasa is not going to stand for this shit.
She's the best.
Takes his ear off, which I noticed, which is pretty great. And he just kind of gets a little bit of distance and goes, you alright? You flat on your back over there? There's some people approaching you trying to take care of you, but you're fine? Cool.
Hang tight.
Henshin a go-go.
Like, and he flies.
He's already bleeding from the ear, it's fine.
He flies up into the air, he transforms, and this is where we go, oh shoot, is Hanji dead? Because
maybe.
Hanji's group was making their way over to where Reiner was at, and it looks very clearly like they got hit in the crossfire. Oh shit,
there's Bertholdt. There's no way we can get out of the way in time. And they straight up say that, like, everyone was obliterated except for our group here, but your group there doesn't know that for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So Hanji might be dead.
Hanji
might be dead.
Which would suck. I like Hanji a lot. I like Hanji.
They're the best.
A lot. Hanji is a good.
Hanji is a very good.
Oh, if they are dead, I will miss them so much. And also, everyone will miss their scientific mind.
I mean, not only are they a great character, they are an asset in terms of the technical and scientific side of things.
I mean, honestly, if in terms of that, they probably shouldn't be going out in the field, but you need everybody you can get, and here we are.
Irvin, in episode 51, makes a point of going, like, the Survey Corps that we have now, man, they're struggling with Titans they shouldn't be struggling with.
Tiny Titans. This is bad. We have a lot of people that don't have a lot of experience.
A lot of people
because a lot of them died. Like all of Levi's squad twice.
Do you ever see Starship Troopers?
Yes.
At the end of the movie, like, when they're getting ready for the final battle, like, Casper Van Dien's looking around. Rico, that was his name. He's going around and he's like, what are all these kids doing here? It's like, literally, these kids are all we have left. It's like, oh.
Yeah, shit happens. And that's one of those ones where it's kind of an in-name only adaptation.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Dominic Noble. And, yeah, no, that book was banned because it was very anti-war in the 1970s.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and it's not a great movie, but it can be fun.
It's meant to be a parody, kind of like it's
which was not what the book was at all. Which is why it's
meant to be a parody or to have moments that parody propaganda films.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call the movie a full-on parody, but it's meant to have moments of propaganda satire.
But it's also hyper violent.
Yeah! I watched about 2 minutes of it when, like, I was a kid, thinking, like, because, like, a lot of my friends had seen it, and I was like, I want to watch it. How come I didn't get to go? I watched the first 2 minutes where a guy gets, like, chomped in half, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore. And it took me a couple years to watch it after that.
The Cold Open is a news broadcast in which a bunch of soldiers and the broadcasters are killed on camera because they're fighting giant and homicidal bugs. And if I recall correctly, humanity started this shit by invading their planet and I think trying to mine it and not really getting that the bugs are semi-sentient and don't want invaders. So yeah, it's humanity's fault.
Surprising no one, humanity's the bad guy once again.
Motherfucking Starship Troopers, yo. Also, Neil Patrick Harris is in it.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious.
He's very young.
He's very young.
He's not in very much of the movie.
And he's very evil. Well, not evil, but ruthless.
I mean, he's a human working for the humans, and we have established that the humans in this movie are not the good guys.
No,
have sympathy for these human characters, despite the fact that this entire war is like... And that's why it was banned in the 1970s, because we were smack in the middle of Vietnam at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Was it Vietnam the 60s?
Was it?
It went
through the 70s, didn't it?
What year is it? Oh my god, it's been so long.
And I feel like Vietnam was...
I think you're right.
Solidly in the 70s.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right. I
don't remember. Most education stops at World War II.
Ours usually stop, like mine stopped, right around World War II. After
this
World
is all
War
really uncomfortable since we're talking about Attack on Titan.
After World War II, usually a lot of history classes are like, and then some other stuff happened.
Yeah, no, that tends to be when they've run out of time at the end, and it's like, vaguely, there were things that happened, like Teapot Dome. What? And Watergate? What? And the Vietnam War? What?
A lot of that
American education is lacking.
It really is.
Anyway.
It's not the best. Anyway. Glad we went there. But yeah, Hanji might be dead and the Colossal Titan is now in the middle of...
setting shit on fire!
Yeah.
Just by...
Yeah.
It's a fucking firebender. So, of course, not near enough to the walls for anyone to be able to get up there. Everything around him is on fire, so good luck finding footing at all in houses and whatnot that are on fire and potentially crumbling, let alone getting close, because shit's on fire. But also, like, Armin's initial plan is, all right, we retreat back to the walls, we regroup, we talk to the commander, we get new orders. It's like, if we lead the Colossal Titan back to the walls, it's going to set fire on the other side of the walls and trap our people there and the horses between a line of Titans and a line of fire. So it's like, the episode ends with, we have to take out the Colossal Titan where we are with the half-dozen assorted people and one Titan shifter that we have. So I like the idea of Eren going up and just tackling him in the back of the knees. Tell me that wouldn't be amazing.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that like...
Just a submarine tackle.
And a lot of these first 3 episodes of part 2 have been, this ends here. And that's what this transformation means, is that it's like, we don't have a choice.
The big guns. We have to do this.
Negotiations haven't worked. You know, they put us into a trap. We're going to have to fight our way out. And there's nothing else that we can do.
There's no way out but through. And through is the Colossal Titan.
Yep. So that's these 2 episodes. And they were both...
We end with shit's on fire, half the squad's dead,
Hanji might be dead.
The armored Titan is healing, and the Colossal Titan is here. Like, not to mention the Beast Titan and the line of Titans and the other half of the troops on the other side of the wall.
Yeah. Assuming that they can make their way through the Colossal Titan, there's still the Beast Titan to contend with, because that guy's not going to go down without a fight, and he's just going to be content to yeet stuff from outside the wall.
My question is going to be, if Bertholdt and Reiner fail, will he leave them for dead? Will it even be possible for him to get through and retrieve the bodies, if there are bodies left, if they fail, if they die instead of being captured, etc., etc., etc.
Well,
there are a lot of ifs in this.
I'm wondering if they, like, this doesn't end in them dead, if this ends in, like, defeat and they end up having to retreat, if this guy will just straight up murder them. Like, I'm wondering if this ends with them making a tactical retreat and this guy going, well, I told you couldn't fail me again. Your powers go to these guys. And we get a new set of Titan shifters.
Yeah. I was going to say, he would need to have the Titans on hand.
It's like, we're going to give your powers to people who aren't emotionally compromised by the people we're trying to kill.
Never mind that we had you go in and live among them for a while.
We're bad people.
Fuck you, Zeke. Fuck
you. What are you on about, Zeke? What is your deal?
I mean... We all kind of went fuck you the first time he threw a horse.
Yeah.
Because that's just cruel. But everything that happens in the series and throwing a horse is the cruel thing. I mean, it is, but holy shit, there's a scale.
Get your Hohenheim looking face out of here. We don't want to talk to you, Zeke.
Get out, Sasquatch. I
yeah.
still really want someone to Photoshop the Vancouver Titan mascot as the Beast Titan. Because we're going to keep getting Attack on Titan art. We got one for Vancouver versus NYXL the other week, which I love. I'll show it to you. It's really well drawn. But it's one of those, like, someone just do this already. It's right there.
So I think that just about does it for these 2 episodes. Do you have any final thoughts?
No. The ending of this episode was just holy shit. Like, we could make predictions, but everything is going to just dissolve into chaos anyway, so there's really no point.
Yeah, no. These 2 episodes, again, a little bit of pacing issues in Thunder Spears, but ultimately these 2 episodes were really well put together, emotionally devastating.
And fucking crazy.
And yeah. I keep wanting to say we're in the end game now, but like we're nowhere near it.
The manga's still going on as far as I know.
I think it's getting ready to wrap up. Okay. I'm not sure. We don't want to know. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know what you thought of these 2 episodes in the comments below. Again, no manga spoilers, but even though we're not doing predictions here, go ahead and put your predictions down there.
If you haven't read the manga.
We like hearing your guys' thoughts too. It's fun to theorize. That's one of the reasons why we're not reading the manga right now, because it's fun to theorize. But in the meantime, Katie, where can people go if they want to find you?
You can follow me all over the social medias, as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. Reaction videos live on that YouTube channel, and I also do an Overwatch and Overwatch League podcast called On the Point, where we talk about things like the Vancouver Titans and others. And the stage finals that just happened, because that occurred, and that was amazing.
And I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I also do a Lost retrospective podcast called No Love Lost, where my co-host Will Link loves Lost, and I don't. and we discuss. And be sure to catch both of us on Rooster Team Radio to talk about Rooster Teeth related stuff. And there's another channel.
I already said my channel.
Darn. Sorry.
There is another channel. It's at Kiyoshi. That's where reaction videos live that aren't horror themed.
I'm sorry. It's late.
It happens. It is late. This is not the first thing we've recorded today.
And I'm like, hey, Rooster Team, no love lost. What am I missing? So, again, thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate you guys sticking with us through these vlogs when they come out inconsistently and smushed together.
They'll happen.
So, thank you guys for sticking with us, and we will see you all next time. Yeet! Just gotta spoil all the fun with your yeeting!